people. What we wanted to do was find a really cool building that people may not have experienced and turn it into a complete transformation and make a really urban kind of gallery space, which is what we've done with O Space.
The opening of the art gallery O Space has meant a first one for the sake of the BURT area renovation. Located in a former DLGI silo used to storage and pack, it took just 1 month and a half for the Aarhus 2017 team to turn it into the wide-open art space it is right now. You decided to leave some of the walls as they were before. Why?
I think it's nice for people to experience the space as it was, and also we may morph into that space. It may not look always exactly as you see it today, so we wanted to leave a little bit of territory to grow, but also a place for people to gather and have a small function or something of this sort, so that it allows people to actually see what the space looked like completely raw, and that we haven't completely taken away the raw, but we've made it much more sophisticated. Rethinking, recycling. It's about showing people that buildings can be sustainable, that you can actually do something inside them rather than knock them down, that they can be repurposed, and that you don't lose the kind of important character of your city. You don't always have to develop new things, you can actually resurrect and change old things.
O Space has just opened its doors hosting the film Manifesto by Julian Rosefeldt. This film is made up from 13 different short stories reproduced at the same time in 13 different screens that dangle from the ceiling. And it is no fluke that it's been featured as the opening exhibition for O Space. In today's program, we are going to interview Julian Rosefeldt, the author of Manifesto. His work is a carefully staged call that invites the audience to rethink the relationship of art and contradiction. The masterful actress, Kate Blanchett, brings the words of artists and thinkers from the 20th century to a new life. She plays 13 different roles that take their scripts out of context to achieve aesthetically jaw-dropping monologues that go from absurdity to a quirky enlightenment in the content. After watching the film, the first question we raised to Mr. Rosefeldt was very clear. The word manifesto is actually a very strong and powerful one. What does it mean for you, manifesto?
Well, I have a very different feeling about it now after doing this project. Manifesto is actually a really, as you mentioned, a really onomatopoetic word. It has strength in itself. Manifesto, to manifest something, to manifest your idea. To me, it is a call for action. It is a very powerful expression of a generation. And with generation, I don't mean a generation, a certain decade in time, but I mean a certain moment in your life. So most of these texts, not all of them, but many of them, were written in a very early stage of the artist's life. And that also explains their anger.
No more imperialists, no more anarchists, no more socialists. No more Bolsheviks, no more politicians, no more proletarians, no more Democrats, no more bourgeois, no more aristocrats, no more armies, no more police, no more fatherland, enough of all these imbecilities, no more anything.
So most of the texts that you selected come from the early 20th century until 1960s, from the new avant-garde style. What was your criteria while you were doing the selection of the texts?
They actually come from the entire century, starting with Marinetti's Futurist Manifesto from 1909, and the last ones are from the beginning of our century, so they cover the entire century. Most texts, though, are from the avant-garde, and so from the 20s and the neo-avant-garde 60s, 70s. I selected milestones of manifestos, so there's, of course, the main tendencies in art history from the 20th century in it, like fluxus, realism, suprematism, Dada, and so on. But also made a lot of discoveries while reading hundreds and hundreds of manifestos, so they found their way into the project. And so basically it covers the century, it covers the main tendencies, but it also makes you discover a few art movements that you might have not known yet.
I think it's a very dynamic exhibition. Of course, it's wonderful with Kate Blanchett, performing those 13 extraordinary roles. But the other reason I like it is it's a history of industrialisation. The manifestos go from the beginning of, the Communist Manifesto all the way through to recent times, including Dogma 95, which is Lars von Trier. So it's like the history of the modern world, and I think that's very appropriate for this kind of destination. It's also to show the architecture of the space without disguising it or camouflaging it. The works work, I think, very brilliantly with the actual architecture structure. So it was to bring those two things in concert.